hilarious, you know. Absolutely hilarious. 2 seconds, there's loads of people here. Get past all these. Bus must be due. It's, are we on? Yeah, we're on. You just can't make it up, can you? I was going to do a vlog, right? The vlog is loosely based on cars. So I got in my car to come to town because I need to go to the bank. And then realised how much I hate driving cars around this area because you can't get parked. So it's like the love of cars, but I don't like cars. It just doesn't make sense, does it? How you doing? We'll start at the beginning. Have you seen the film Warhorse? Great film, by the way. It's now gone into the plays. It's really, really good. It's based on the story of a horse, funnily enough, but it's not actually about the horse. It's about what the horse, when he goes through different people's lives, and it's their stories that are actually the interesting part of the film rather than the horse itself. The horse is just the thing that links them all the way along. I've got the same with cars. I've had it all my life. And last night something happened to me that made me laugh and giggle. And I went, yeah, I need to tell you that story because it was quite funny. I was on my way to work last night. I got into the car about 7:30. Dying. Got in the car about 7:30. I don't put the radio on in the car anymore. I just normally like sitting with my own thoughts and listening and thinking about stuff. And I came onto the motorway, and just as I came on around the junction onto the motorway, 3 about 25-year-old Citroen Saxos in a row went past us. And they were, in the UK you'd call them boy racers. They're not. I mean, they were very, very proud of the cars, young kids. And they've done these cars up, so they've got the baffles on them, you know, when you're making that bop, 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 those noises. And you can see they took time and looked after these cars. It was really quite nice to see. And it made me smile and made me laugh because it made me think about it. I was like, oh God, yeah. I had one of them. And I'm going to tell you about that later because that's a really quite an interesting story about a Citroen Saxo. It comes, first of all, it got me then thinking about the whole vlog. It got me thinking about the whole vlog about what cars do I remember. And I was fortunate enough, I mean, don't forget, I was 15 years in the car trade. It's like, what cars do I remember that put a smile on my face or were interesting that I can think about? And I thought, well, maybe that's an idea to give as the vlog, because some of them just stand out like you won't believe. I mean, I have driven literally, if I say I've driven 1,000 cars, I think I've driven, I don't think that's a good enough count. I think I've done more, but I don't know because I've driven that many. I got a brand new car every 3 months in the job I was in, and that was going on for 15 years. So it gets me thinking that out of all the cars, I'm going to range these cars as well and tell you stories about them, because I've got a couple of really standout stories about them. It ranges from my first ever car. The first ever car I had, Nissan Cherry, 200 quid. Ken Allen sold it to me. The guy owned a garage, petrol station, and he sold cars off his forecourt. It was 200 quid, and he just got it through an MOT, and he gave it. I got that car for 200 quid. Lasted me about 2 years. First ever car, of course you love it. I traded it in from there and went up to my next one, which is the Fiesta 1.4S. God almighty, I wanted an XR2. I can't tell you how much I wanted an XR2. Just couldn't afford it. But I got a 1.4S, and that was a 1.4S. That car took me from the UK, Manchester, and the reason why that car's got a special sentimental value for me is it took me from Manchester and it took me to Holland. It took me out of the struggles that I was having as a poverty, you know, in the poverty really, because I was on the bones of my arse, and it took me out of that into Holland. Wally trolley. It took me out of that into Holland, where I had an opportunity then to start my life and start my career. So very, very grateful for that car. It was a fantastic car. I just wish it would have been an XR2, but I couldn't afford it. But those are the first 2 cars that I got that I do remember from the beginning. You never forget your first car, do you? Trouble is, my first car's not the best one. I'm at the bank at the moment. Let me just do my banking. There we go. Payday today, see? Put the money in. £7 to there. You still with me? Can't put them increased. It doesn't read them when you're creased or folded. We don't tend to go in the banks these days. Just put, I don't know what it's like in the UK. Just put everything in the machines, and the machine sorts it out and sends me an email. Done. So there's my first 2 cars anyway. And then I've got to tell you about some others that I do remember growing up with. thanks to my mate Gary, Norky was fortunate enough to have the decent cars. For our age, anyway. And I always remember one of his first ones that he got, and he'll laugh on it. I've sent him a message of this, actually. Please remove your card. Done. I sent him a message on this one, and it was his Austin Metro that he got. The Austin Metro. Now, it was a gold one, nothing spectacular. The steering wheel was massive. It was huge. But it wasn't. That's not about the car. What was the funny thing about the car was that he decided to take out the 2 front seats and put Recaro bucket seats in. So we had this Austin Metro with a steering wheel the size of a bus, and then it's got 2 sports seats in. The trouble is the sports seats lifted up on a pivot like that, but the top of the seat kept hitting the roof, so you had to really squeeze in if you were trying to get into the back. It was honestly, it was hilarious to see, really, really funny. So that was one of the other cars, and then he sold that and got himself a Nova 1.4 SR, which I absolutely loved. I was jealous. Gary, if you watch this, by the way, I was jealous of that car. I thought it was a fantastic car. Because I'm not really into cars, but the car story again started when I got into back into the car industry, funnily enough. Now, to me, a car's a car. That doesn't do it for me. But some of the cars that I had that do stand out was originally, I was working for Vauxhall. Vauxhall was, they were all right. There was nothing spectacular. The Astra VXR, a bit bumpy, a bit hard. The Vauxhall VX220. That was a very hard car, but it was like a go-kart. I can't walk across that way. They cut the path off. No, I think I can get around. Doing a bit of work around here. It started for me really when I moved up into the world and went into Jaguar, because I remember Jaguar XK8, the old model, beautiful car, luxury car, a little bit old-fashioned for me. But then we got this is the one that I was wanting to talk to you about, with the Jaguar XKR, because the XKR was an absolutely phenomenal car. It was brilliant. And I always remember, I was driving down the A1. I'm coming down the A1 and I'm stuck in traffic, and I've got the roof down on this XKR convertible on my way to work. So I've got fully suited up, I'm in there, roof down, waiting in traffic, and this Astra pulls up alongside, which I can only explain 4 sales execs from young kids. And they're all just looking all over this car. They were drooling over this car. And it was so funny, I got my sunglasses on, and I looked across and I could see they were looking. And as they were looking, I slowly put my hand on the passenger seat and I grabbed the board that had the price of the car on, showing £75,000, and lifted the board up so they could see the price of the car as they were going past it slowly. And then when they all started laughing, they thought it was funny. And then one of the lads, just like, because you can't hear him, he was like, I went, is it all right? And I looked over and I went, it's okay. Like this. And they started laughing. But it was a phenomenal car. It was a great car. You gonna let me go? Nope. Wally Troller's looking the wrong way. He needs to look out a different way next time. He wasn't looking at me. So he's letting me go. Thanks, buddy. So that was one of the cars that I do remember. I also remember while I was working for them, I went picking up, because it wasn't just Jaguar we sold other cars. I had to go across town and pick up an Aston Martin DB9. And to be honest with you people, I was not impressed at all. I found it a bit of a bone shaker. I found the stereo to be a Ford stereo. The locks were Ford locks. It was nothing all that, to be honest with you. The car, the DB that I've picked up, the DB9, was 100 grand. It was a second-hand one. And to be honest with you, the XKR at 75 grand, I personally thought was a lot better car. I really did. It was a nicer car to drive. So from there I moved off to BMW, so obviously you get then into another prestige marks. When I first turned up, my boss at BMW was trying to impress me, so they put me into the X6 for about 3 weeks. It's like the Starship Enterprise, man. It's ridiculous. You have no awareness of space of the car because it was massive. It was absolutely... Oh, here we go. Look at this, keep bumping into you guys. How are we doing? All right. Hello, mate. How are you?
Better be bumping to Rick.
Hello, darling. How are you? I'm all right. Sarah and Eddie from the chat. Yeah, just finishing off one actually.
Oh, is you?
And I'm parked round that way because funny enough it was about cars. and I can't get parked anywhere. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely... I was stuck in a car park. There's some guy when you go and park in these like abandoned places. There's a bloke there going, give me €3. I'm like, well, it's free. No, come back and I'll scratch your car. So I've seen a couple of minutes, mate. I've seen a couple of minutes. I'll finish this one off tomorrow because I've got some stories about that. I'll see you in a bit. All right, cheers. And we're back. Different day. Tuesday morning now, out with the dog. Looking like an athlete, a finely tuned athlete. I'm in a running challenge with Shelley's son. And yesterday he very happily showed me a snapshot of his results of just running a 5k when we've been running 2 to 2.5 Ks. So it means I have to up my game. So after this, I'm out with Rolo at the moment. After this, I've got to go out on a run and kick a 5k in. So I told him that was my plan. So I think it's just like a game of chess. He's beat me to it. But yesterday we were talking about cars, and that's what I want to get back to. I just want to diverse a little bit. There was a guy, a friend of mine, a mechanic, who worked at the garage that I ended up running. He was called Dougie, and you know, he's one of those lads who can turn his hand to everything. The kid got old bangers and restored them, and some of the bangers that he's got, he must have got now. I think out of this now, he's become a very, very wealthy man because he did a original Mini. Not really, that's not the spectacular one. The one that he got me was the Sierra RS Cosworth. He had it in emerald green, it was beautiful. Dog's off chasing something. Come on this way, come on. Emerald green, it was absolutely gorgeous. I think he did a 1 Series BMW as well. And then out of nowhere, I didn't even realise this, just like me when I was a kid growing up. Rolo! No, the dog's found a cat. Rolo, come on! Oh yeah! Rolo! Rolo, this way. Honest to God, that dog. With the death of me. Cats and pigeons, mate. Cats and pigeons. He's even scared of our own cat, though. He's scared of Bella. But he sees another cat and he goes for it. He's in the ravine. I don't know. Anyway, RS Cosworth. Beautiful car. But the one that got me was, he was a massive fan of Back to the Future. So Back to the Future was the Toyota Hilux, remember? And he bought a wreck of a Toyota Hilux, an absolute wreck of one, and completely restored it into, so it looked like Marty McFly's Hilux. It was brilliant, man. It looks absolutely amazing. So that's what cars, that's the only time I've really had a love of cars, when I've seen that. I've never really had a love of cars for myself. He didn't really do it for me. So he's back down there again. Come on, you, get up here. Oh yeah, this way. Those 3 Saxos that went past the other day put a smile on my face, and the reason why they put a smile on my face is because of all the cars that I've driven. I must have driven £500,000 worth of cars in my life. I found happiness in a 25-year-old Citroen Saxo when I first arrived in Tenerife 5 years ago. I needed a car. It was actually my mum's friend who had this car just lying around. It's like a second car. And she said, well, you can use it. I don't use it. So it was this white Saxo that we got. The registration was CCK. Now, I'm very good at regis. The reason being is when I was selling the cars, we had a forecourt of 200 cars. I'd always remember the cars by the last 3 letters, you know, of the thing. Now, CCK was me. It was a crap Calvin Klein. That's what CCK was. So I remember that. My sister's car's KWB, Kia, with balls. But my sister's a bit ballsy. So I had this CCK, Calvin Klein. We called her Tallulah May because she was, I think if you remember the Need for Speed, I think it came from Nicolas Cage. Not Need for Speed. Was it Need for Speed, Nicolas Cage, when he had the car? It was the Mustang. I think it was called Tallulah May. I had this car when I first met Shelley, and Shelley used to fly over. But I used to take the car everywhere. I used to go up the mountain on it and everything. And I sent a picture of the cars if it was like adverts, like a car advert. Beautiful backdrop, and this absolute shed of a car. In the UK, the car would be worth 50 quid. Over here, it was worth 600 quid. I tell you what I do remember. We sold the car, she sold the car eventually, 600 quid, to a madam who ran a brothel in San Isidro. Dutch woman. Things you do, eh? So anyway, what about this car? I was driving from my sister's house back down onto the Golf, and there's a back road that we use. It's a nondescript road, nothing spectacular. And I just remember one day, the car had keep fit windows, not electronic windows, windy windows. And I'm there with my arm on the window, sorry, left arm out on the window, and the sun was beating down. Nondescript road. I'll try and Google map the road to just show you it's nothing special. And there's a massive wave of happiness came over me. Because it was almost like the escapism of the marriage, failed marriage, the relief of getting out of that scenario that I was in. And I'm there on my own on this little road in a Citroen Saxo that's not worth 50 quid. It didn't even have power steering. Shelley borrowed it once, right? And she called me up and she went, your power steering's broke. I went, there's no power steering on that pet. There was no power steering. And the relief of happiness that I had on it, that to me was one time that a car evoked happiness from myself. So out of all the cars, look at them again. Jaguar, BMW. The one car that does it was a crappy old Citroen Saxo. You can find happiness in the most unexpected of places. That's what I think, that's what I found anyway. And it was a great one, and I'll never forget it. So the 3 times, number 1, Ford Fiesta from the UK to Holland, defining moment, massive defining moment. Number 2, I don't know what was number 2. Second car, most probably Norky's car with the bucket seats. But number 3 was this Citroen Saxo. All of them cheddar cars. It's great, isn't it? Right, I'm off for my run. He's rolling around in a bush, enjoying himself in a bush. Roller, this way, this way. I need to speak to you actually about the subscription count, because we're still getting a lot of people who are watching, and not subscribing. If you want to subscribe, please, it's free. It's a little button down there on the left. Just click on the subscription button, it's free. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. The channel's growing fantastically. We're getting a lot of positivity about the channel. Thank you so much for those that do. Still a high percentage, as you can see, that are watching it and that are not clicking subscribe. So you don't get the notifications of when another video comes up. So if you want those notifications, click subscription. There's a little bell icon as well, and that'll give you the notification of when we do another vlog. Okay. So thanks a lot. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you on the next one. As always, you know what to do. Roll off.